Subscribe to my YouTube channel for deeply emotional, romantic, and mature stories that echo through your heart. Don't forget to like, share, and comment to support meaningful storytelling. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as Maya gathered her papers, the sound echoing through the empty office building. It was past 9 again, and she was the last one there except for him. David's office light still glowed at the end of the hallway, casting long shadows across the polished floor. She wondered if he knew how often she found herself stealing glances in his direction, wondering what kept him here so late. Night after night. What she didn't know was that he stayed because she stayed. And she stayed because he asked her to. It had started 3 months ago, on a Tuesday that felt like any other Tuesday. Maya had been packing up her desk when David appeared beside her cubicle, his presence commanding yet gentle. He was the kind of man who didn't need to raise his voice to be heard. Everything about him spoke of quiet confidence and hidden depths. Maya, he had said, her name rolling off his tongue like a prayer. I know it's late, but could you help me with the Morrison account? I could really use your expertise. She had looked up into his dark eyes, noting the way his tie hung slightly loose around his neck, the way his sleeves were rolled up to reveal strong forearms. There was something vulnerable in his expression, something that made her heart skip. Of course, she had replied, not trusting her voice to say more. That first night, they had worked until 11, their heads bent together over spreadsheets and proposals. Maya had been acutely aware of his cologne, something woodsy and masculine. That made her think of autumn evenings and warm fires, when their hands accidentally touched while reaching for the same document. She felt electricity shoot through her fingers. Thank you, he had said as they finally prepared to leave. I don't know what I would have done without you. The sincerity in his voice made her chest tighten. She had driven home that night with her heart racing, telling herself it was just work, just professional collaboration. But the way he had looked at her, the way he had said her name, it felt like so much more. The next evening, he asked again. And the next. Soon, staying late became their routine, their secret world after. The office emptied out. They would order takeout and eat at the conference table, talking about everything and nothing. David would ask about her weekend plans, her family, her dreams. She learned that he had moved to the city 5 years ago after his divorce, that he loved old movies and jazz music, that he had a scar on his left hand from a childhood accident. You're different from the others, he told her one night as they watched the city lights twinkle below from his corner office window. You see things others miss. Maya felt her cheeks flush. Different how? Thoughtful. Genuine. Most people here are just playing a role, but you. You're real. She turned to find him looking at her with an intensity that made her breath catch. For a moment, she thought he might reach out and touch her face, might close the distance between them. But then his phone buzzed, breaking the spell, and he turned away. Those late nights became the highlight of Maya's existence. She would spend her days anticipating the moment when the office would empty, and it would be just the two of them. She began staying later even when he didn't ask, hoping he would notice, hoping he would need her. David did notice. He noticed everything about her, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was concentrating, the way she bit her lower lip when she was thinking, the way her eyes lit up when she laughed at his jokes. He noticed that she had started wearing softer colors, that she had changed her perfume to something sweeter, more alluring. But he also noticed the way she looked at him, with a longing that mirrored his own. And that terrified him. Maya, he said one evening as she prepared to leave, you don't have to stay so late every night. You have a life outside of this office. She paused, her hand on her purse. I know. But I want to help. The projects we're working on, they're important. Is that the only reason? The question slipped out before he could stop it. She turned to face him, her heart hammering in her chest. What do you mean? He stepped closer, close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes. I mean, sometimes I wonder if you're here for the work or if you're here for something else. The air between them crackled with unspoken tension. Maya felt like she was standing on the edge of a cliff, about to jump into the unknown. Would it matter if I was? David's jaw tightened. It would matter more than you know. But instead of moving closer, he stepped back, running a hand through his hair. We should be careful, Maya. Whatever this is between us, ... It's complicated. Why? Does it have to be complicated? Because you work for me. Because I'm 12 years older than you. Because I've already made a mess of one relationship. And I won't do that to you. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. So what are you saying? I'm saying that maybe you should go home at normal hours. Maybe we should keep things professional. The words hit her like a physical blow. She nodded, not trusting her voice, and gathered her things. As she walked toward the elevator, she heard him call her name softly, but she didn't turn around. She couldn't bear to see the regret in his eyes. The next day, Maya left at 5:30 sharp. She waited by the elevator, hoping David would appear and ask her to stay. But he didn't. She went home to her empty apartment and tried to watch television, but all she could think about was him sitting alone in his office, working by himself. For a week, she maintained the professional distance he had requested. She arrived on time, did her work efficiently, and left when everyone else left. But the spark had gone out of her days. The office felt cold and impersonal without their evening conversations, without the anticipation of their shared moments. David, meanwhile, was miserable. He threw himself into his work, staying even later than before. But the silence of the empty office felt oppressive. He found himself listening for Maya's laugh, looking for her familiar figure in the hallway. He had done the right thing, he told himself. The professional thing. But why did it feel so wrong? On Friday evening, as Maya packed up her desk, she noticed David's office light was still on. She could see his silhouette through the frosted glass, hunched over his computer. She hesitated, then made a decision that would change everything. She knocked on his doorframe. David? He looked up, surprised. His hair was disheveled, his tie completely undone. There were dark circles under his eyes, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. Maya, I thought you'd gone home. I did. I was going to, but... She stepped into his office, her heart pounding. You look terrible. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Thanks. That's exactly what a man wants to hear. When was the last time you ate something? And I mean something that wasn't from the vending machine. He ran a hand over his face. I don't remember. Maya felt a surge of protectiveness. Come on, we're going to get you some real food. Maya, I don't think it's not a date, she said quickly. It's just ... A friend making sure another friend doesn't collapse from exhaustion. David studied her face, seeing the genuine concern there. Just as friends? Just as friends. But as they sat across from each other, at the small Italian restaurant around the corner, sharing a bottle of wine and talking about everything except work, it felt like anything but friendship. Maya watched the way David's eyes crinkled when he smiled, the way he gestured with his hands when he told a story. She memorized the sound of his laugh, the way he looked at her like she was the only person in the world. I've missed this, he said suddenly, his voice soft. I've missed talking to you. Then why did you push me away? David was quiet for a long moment. Because I'm scared, he admitted. Scared of what I feel for you. Scared of messing up your career, your life. Scared of not being good enough for you. Maya reached across the table and placed her hand over his. What if I told you that I'm scared too? But I'm more scared of living my life wondering, what if? David turned his hand over, interlacing their fingers. Maya ... double quotes. I know all the reasons why this is complicated. I know the risks. But I also know that I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. David's thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. How do you feel about me? She took a deep breath. Like I'm home when I'm with you. Like all the colors are brighter when you're around. Like I could face anything as long as you're beside me. David brought her hand to his lips, pressing a soft kiss to her palm. I love you, Maya. I've loved you since that first night when you stayed to help me, when you made me laugh for the first time in months. Tears filled Maya's eyes. I love you too. I've loved you for so long that I can't remember what it felt like before. They sat there in the restaurant, holding hands across the table, feeling like they were the only two people in the world. The future stretched ahead of them, uncertain and complicated, but filled with possibility. So what happens now? Maya asked. Now, David said, we figure it out together. We'll have to be careful at work, at least until we can talk to HR. But Maya ... He squeezed her hand. I don't want to waste any more time being afraid. Life's too short. Maya smiled, her heart full. Does this mean I can start staying late again? David laughed. You can stay as late as you want. In fact, I'm hoping you'll stay for a very long time. As they walked out of the restaurant together, Maya felt like she was stepping into a new chapter of her life. The streetlights cast a warm glow over the sidewalk, and David's hand was warm in hers. She thought about all those nights she had stayed late, all those moments of stolen glances and unspoken feelings. David? She said as they reached her car. Yeah? Thank you for making me stay late all those nights. Even when I didn't know why you were asking. David smiled, reaching up to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. Thank you for staying. For all of it. He leaned down and kissed her then, soft and sweet under the streetlight. It was everything Maya had imagined and more tender and passionate and full of promise. When they finally broke apart, both of them were breathless. I should probably go, Maya whispered, though she made no move to leave. Probably, David agreed, his forehead resting against hers. But Maya, what? Tomorrow night, when everyone else goes home. Will you stay late with me again? Maya smiled, her heart soaring. Every night, if you want me to. I want you to, he said, his voice rough with emotion. I want you to stay forever. As Maya drove home that night, she couldn't stop smiling. She thought about the future they would build together, the challenges they would face, the love they would share. It wouldn't be easy, office romances never were, but it would be real, and it would be theirs. The next Monday, when David asked her to stay late to work on a project, Maya just smiled and nodded. But this time, when he looked at her, there was no hesitation in his eyes, no careful distance. There was only love, and the promise of all the late nights to come. And as the office emptied around them, and they settled in to work together, Maya realized that sometimes the best things in life happen when you're brave enough to stay, even when you don't know exactly what you're staying for. Sometimes love finds you in the most unexpected places, at the most unexpected times. Sometimes it asks you to stay late, to take a chance, to risk everything for the possibility of something beautiful. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, it asks you to stay forever. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, that they didn't seem harsh anymore. They were just the soundtrack to their beginning, the witness to their love story. Maya looked across the table at David, at the man who had made her stay late every night, and she knew that she would keep staying, not because he asked her to, but because she wanted to. Because love, real love, was worth staying for.